And here we are. Welcome back to Paintings and Stories with RJ Ogren. Obviously, I'm RJ Ogren, and I hope the sound is okay because I just had a lot of fun this morning trying to get my laptop working. Oh, hi, Jimmy. How do I sound? Am I coming through okay on this thing? Hi, Catherine. So, as a lot of you join in, I'll then tell you a couple of funny things, and I'll be working on this painting right here. Jamie, there you are. I'm here. That's scary in itself. Anyway, I hope. Hi, Debbie. Chris. Gee, boy, everybody's jumping on here. Susan. Yes, and I hope the sound is all right. I mean, I did a test earlier, and then I did another test, and it seemed to be okay. Um, so some of you saw what I posted. I got up this morning, and after breakfast and everything, I came into my studio here and was setting things up because I was actually going to paint on this, and I'm laying out another painting, which I'll show you in a second. And anyway, I turned on my laptop and turned on my phone with my really neat case. If you didn't see this a couple weeks ago, I love this case. Only I would have that. And anyway, I turned on the computer and went to play a video I saw, a funny one with a dog, and no sound. And suddenly I realized I didn't have any sound, and then I checked and I had no camera. And so I was going back and forth with our friend Michelle, who says, unless I'm there, I really can't do much for you. And so I tried everything. It took about an hour and a half, and then crazy, love Peter Pan. Yes, Debbie. Coming in loud and clear. Oh, that's fantastic. Thank you, Jamie. But I had clicked down on the right-hand corner on the thing for the sound, and it came up, said it was like 87% volume. And I had done that a few times, and I went, nothing's happening. So just for the heck of it, I went back to it again and put it down to almost zero, and then put it back up to 87%. And all of a sudden, my sound came on, the camera came on. I went, hey, I'm a computer whiz. Yeah. Um, so anyway, I've got my coffee. I actually started on time today, and this is one of our Lady in the Tramp mugs. We have the one where they're having the spaghetti dinner, which our friend Harry Holt actually worked on that scene. I like this because this is like family and friends, and since you're all here, you're all friends, and you're like family. Aww. So get to the point if possible. Quick break, Israel. That's good. Did I get there quick enough? Okay. I am going to make the announcement up about something. You know, as you know, our first two books on Disney, Together in the Dream is the first one. Remembering the Magic was a sequel, and they're selling nicely. And we were working on a third book, or doing all the research, and we were doing a book that was going to be more involved in the history of Disney World and try to keep our style of writing and our humor. And you know what? It just wasn't working. This is trying to go from the beginning and come up to current day, and we're not living in Orlando anymore. So we made the decision about a week ago, and we're very happy with it. We will be finishing the book up by September, and it'll go to the publisher, Theme Park Press, and it's actually going to be the third book. So it'll be the same style, write alternating chapters. I'll be able to put all my crazy, funny stories into it. So that's the big announcement. We actually were we just couldn't get into writing it the way we wanted to. So this was a good move. Some things just don't work. Now, Suzanne went shopping. She says, oh, you're going to be online? I'm going. No, she didn't say that. But she is going to be writing on her blog at srosleepy.blogspot.com later on. And, oh, you have that series too. Oh, yes. This, cool. Right. Okay. Thank you, Susan. And I am going to be painting on Mickey. Let me show you what's going on before I tell you some other funny stuff. I'm going to move this a little bit so you can see it because I can't move the painting. This is the squad room, and this is for a recently retired police chief who's become a very good friend. He was police chief here in the Chicagoland area, and I'm moving so you can see outside the window. There's Herbie and the sheriff, and of course McQueen. They're not done. I'm working on those, but all three of them will have a red bubble light on top of the car. They're supposed to be squad cars, and that's going to be the castle in the distance from Disney World. And each of these characters, if you weren't on here before when I was talking about it, each of these characters represents a different time in his career as in police work at the same police, same city that he did this in. He started out as a dispatcher. He is done. So you can see he's got phones, wires going everywhere, and all kinds of crazy stuff. And Mickey, who I'm going to do some painting on today, is the police chief. At one point, he was a detective, which is Goofy. He was a patrolman, which is Pinocchio. And right off the top of my head now, I forget which one was which here. But anyway, he was all these different positions over the years. So I'm having a lot of fun with this. Now, I had to do the whole background first. Obviously, you always start with the backgrounds and work your way forward. And one of the fun things was working on the jail cell. And as an added feature, we had to put Jessica Rabbit in there because I wanted to give it the colors and sort of the look of Roger Rabbit Squadron. We've got papers, trash overflowing. I'll have more trash overflowing from this can over here, and there will be posters on the walls, small wanted posters. So Pistol Pete will be one of them, and there'll be some other characters in there. So we'll have some fun with that. That's this painting. Now, just don't go away. I got to reach around, but I got to figure out how to get it. This one I'm going to have to pass by. This is a stretch painting. I'll have to. Now the top of it is you can't really tell who that is. But that is not the stretch painting. But I sketched in the face. This is a surprise. So I didn't make the sketch look totally like her so I could show it today. And of course you have the alligator down there. I've raised the background, the mountains a little bit, so I have more water because I'm putting the pirate ship from Pirates of the Caribbean, the Black Pearl, will be in the distance, probably over here. And we'll have something unique on the pirate flag. I won't say what. I don't want to give too much away. But this was the fun part. Her skirt is shorter, and I had to kind of lay her out because I left this right here. This is actually where the leg is of the actual stretch room painting. And when I started to lay and give her a shorter skirt, I realized, of course, very quickly, her legs are offset. So next time you go, if you can see positioning of things, look at her on the wall and look at her legs and look at the top of her. It works, but it's not the same. If I left them over here, it would look like her body was kind of strange. So I had to shift her legs over, and you're wondering what's on her. Maybe you can tell. It's C-3PO and R2-D2 are on her leggings, on her tights. So I had to shift her over. It dropped this line a little bit. And then in the umbrella, I'm painting some more Pirates of the Caribbean on the umbrella. Crazy, huh? And there's some other fun little things, and there'll be hidden Mickeys. And now I can get that out of the way. Okay. I actually have a big studio, but when I do these, I have to get in close to make this work. So, Carol, looks like fun. Yeah, it is fun. It's going to be a lot of fun doing that. Oh, the neat thing about this painting that is the stretch room one. It's also it's going to be in regular light, regular acrylic paints, but I'm adding black light paints to it, UV lighting paints, acrylics, and it will glow in the black light like the other painting I did. So everything I do on there, I have to paint under 2 different lights. And I now have, you saw the one I did months ago, I had a black light in my lap because I didn't have it hooked up in this new studio yet. I now have a big 4-foot black light hanging up on the ceiling. Actually, you can't see it when you come in the room, but it's got 2 tubes in it. It gives me a lot of black light. So that'll be a lot of fun. Do you sell your artwork? Hi, Heidi. I don't paint and sell it. If you, in other words, I don't sell it online or I don't even have time to do stuff like that anymore because everything I do is on commission. So if you're interested in prices and sizes and everything, message me on Facebook and I will be glad to send you the information and discuss any thoughts you have on a painting. That being said, see, I did everything. See where I'm at. I have a surprise visitor at the very end of this today. So, yeah, it's going to be crazy. You're welcome, Heidi. And yeah, I'm booked with paintings into May right now. I have a queue of paintings. And after I finish this one, which will be probably Monday or Tuesday, then I will have 2.5 weeks to paint the stretch room one because that has to be sent. That's for the surprise. And then I will be on another blacklight painting. Actually, that will be the Haunted Mansion with the hitchhiking ghost in front of the Haunted Mansion. And then I have some more stuff after that. So busy. Now, I'm going to actually paint on Mickey. And I'm going to start with his skin tones on his face right here. And this color is acrylic white and cadmium yellow medium and cadmium red medium. And just a little bit of those 2 colors mixed in to give you a color like this. So what I'm going to do here is put a second coat on. And if you're new to my painting and seeing what I'm doing, I mix colors. I buy these cups, at the store, and they're great for acrylics because they really stay a long time in these cups. And I even use bigger ones that I get from when I get saved food when we go to a restaurant. Those are great too. And I just got red paint all over my finger. So get that off of there. Yes. Okay. Now, and if you're wondering, I wear dungarees, old dungarees. Oh, dungarees. That's a stupid name. I wear old jeans to paint in, and it made me sound like a farmer. I would be terrible at farming. But I wear slippers. I have socks on, and I have some really nice old LL Bean slippers, which are very comfortable. So that's my painting attire. Now, this painting of characters, I'm not doing too much line work on them because I'm making them more 3-dimensional. And I've got a little bit of white here in the cup and a little bit of raw sienna. So I'm going to get a little bit of the white right now and just highlight and blend this in on the side of his face. I'm not going to worry too much about painting into the eye because I'll fix that later. And acrylics you have to work quickly with because they dry so fast. And that red I had on my finger, I just got on my brush. So, okay. Anyway, um, yeah, good day yesterday painting on this, and then today with the laptop doing a number, everything went haywire. I continue painting right here. I'm not going to do any shading yet until I get over to the side. Now, the light in this painting is coming from the window, which you can't see now, but there is a window over here I showed earlier in the show here. And so my light's coming from there across this way. So that gives me the shaded side. Now I'm going to take a little bit of the raw sienna and I'm going to put it right on there. Not going to worry about the black right now too much. I got to paint over that anyway. So I'm going to blend this in and give him a little volume to his face here. All right. Now, let me see if any of you are what's going on. Have you ever heard or ever tried airbrushing any of your work with, together with my glasses mixed with paintbrush work? You know, the last time I did airbrushing was actually when I was working at Disney World, and we did a airbrushing on different figures like the sharks and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. We had some, gosh, that was what we airbrushed most. But I'm not a big fan of airbrushing. I I like to do everything by hand. That's a good question. Um, I am blown away by airbrush artists. I just think it's fascinating what they can do. And just as I am by watercolor artists, I have done over the years a few watercolors, but they're my thing is acrylics. I airbrush artists and watercolor artists got it all over me when it comes to those mediums. So again, I'm just painting. I'm going to have to shade on the lower part of his upper mouth, lips. It is. There's a good thought. Does Mickey have a lip on top of his? I don't know. So I'm going to put in some raw sienna again. And then I'm going to blend this out. You notice I put it at the when I first put the raw sienna down, I put it at the place where it's going to be the darkest. Wipe my brush off. Get a little bit of flesh tone here. Now, actually, on the actual cartoon characters, the old cartoon characters, Mickey and others, you'll notice that the shading on those figures is actually almost just a band of color that's a little different. They didn't blend the colors together when they painted the cells. So if I did it that way, this would just be a very subtle but separate shade. And then, and yes, there were hidden Mickeys in 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, by the way. Speaking of 20K, we love to scuba dive in there, as you know, if you've read our books. And oh, by the way, if you're wondering what's going on with his mouth, that's Jiminy Cricket sitting on his shoulder. and he's actually kind of squatting down and pointing with his umbrella at the tablet that Mickey is reading from, apparently with instructions for his very attentive crew in the office. So, okay, we're going to shade this now. And you know, and when I do this video with y'all, I have to pull the shades, which eventually are going to be we're going to buy shades to put in here, and they'll be the 2-inch wide, look like real wood shades, which would be a lot easier to control the light. But right now, I've just got roll up shades. So that's already drying. Yeah, now I'm going to get a different brush because this gets this lower lip much narrower. So I've got a 0 brush here. And there's a very funny story about Jiminy Cricket that I wrote in our first book when I was creating the costume, walk around character costume of Jiminy Cricket. So there. Oh, I know what I want. Get this because I wanted to put a little bit. I got the water over here behind me. Ignore my back. It's not very interesting. Suzanne is directing our next production of Bard and the Burbs, the company that our son and his wife Sandy started. And it is Much Ado About Nothing. It opens in May and plays for a couple of weeks. And they've got a great cast, and they start rehearsal this Sunday evening. So I will start having about 4 nights a week. Well, I'll be alone. Whatever shall I do? My wife and I met in high school in drama in 10th grade, and she skipped a grade and was 14 when we met, and she just turned 14. And I was 15. So we went together up until our senior year, and then she broke up with me because I was too immature. I still am. And then I went in the Navy, and she went to college. A couple years later, I came back just before I went to Vietnam the first time, and we got back together. And stop ringing when I am busy. It's a robocall. I hate robocalls. Audio. If you all could be heard through the computer, I'd pick that thing up and have you all talk at the same time. So let me scroll here real quick and see if a very genuine, likable artist you are, brother. Oh, thank you, Israel. That's very nice. So some of you say the nicest things. I almost don't know what to say. Well, Jamie, where do you shop for your art supplies? Do you have a Michael's or a Hobby Lobby where you are? I don't like Hobby Lobby, and actually, Michael's doesn't have as much as they used to. But I now shop at Blick Art Supplies. I don't know where you all are, if you have Blick Art Supplies, but they are great because they have everything. I have a card with them. They always have sales. I actually save money shopping there. And in fact, their paints are of such a good quality. That's what I use now. Here, let me get. This is their colors, and their studio acrylics are great. And so that's what I use exclusively. I used to use their big name brand paints and found that Blick is the best. And if you just joined, that's the mug I'm drinking out of, Lady and the Tramp. Now, I did mention scuba diving in 20K. And if any of you remember 20K, well, we call it 20K, it was usually saying 20,000 leagues under the sea. All the employees shortened it to 20K. And all four of us artists in the 70s had to be certified scuba divers. I actually was certified at or in Seven Seas Lagoon by the scuba diver at Disney that trained me. That's wild. And we could go in anytime we wanted. Actually, we not during the day, obviously, not when the park was open, but because we were basically our own bosses. We were our own bosses at Disney World. It was only when Mark Davis or Watha Rogers came out from the studios and spent some time with us, like a week or less. And we went through the attractions, checked things, or they had something new we were going to put in an attraction. But they were our guidance, really, on all the art. They no longer have that kind of control person from the studios that come out to Disney World, which I think is sadly missing. But anyway, so anytime we would go in because we'd check the attraction, and if we found something that, say, a diver's suit, which was the skins also on the divers, if it had been in the water way too long for months, it would start to get a milky color, and we'd have them pull that out that night, and we redo the whole thing. And same thing with the mermaids and the big grouper fish that had skin on it, the sharks, which we did a lot, airbrushed. But a lot of times we just go in because we could. So we'd come in 2 hours before the park would open, and we'd suit up in our scuba gear, and we actually used our black light room to change in because there was Tom and Lee and myself and Jane, so we didn't want to all change at the same time. That wouldn't be good. So, and then we'd go up, and we had a Pargo. It was the brand of golf cart we had with a flatbed in the back. So 2 people would sit in front, the other 2 would sit in back with all the gear and the scuba tanks, and we'd ride up the hill. Our studio was behind Small World, and so we all jump in that. Not in Small World. We jump in the golf cart Pargo, and we ride actually up the hill behind. Actually, it was sort of behind Geppetto's restaurant. A large part of 20,000 Leagues was. But we'd ride up behind 20,000 Leagues, the main lagoon. We'd come through the bushes right there and onto the sandy beach, which actually was concrete and made to look like sand. And that's where we would go in. It was different. So, all right. And it was a lot of fun. We spent a lot of time playing practical jokes on each other. And I'm just using the acrylic white right now. And let me check, see if anybody. Oh, Tina, I just finished your book, Together in Dream, and it was fantastic. Well, thank you, Tina. And Tina lives in England, which we love to visit. And they're also big Bob Ross fans. So I did a drawing of the cartoon character. I did a Bob Ross. And because it was going to be way too expensive to send the thing to England, we sent it to Tina's friend that lives in Tampa. And I guess she's coming over in March to visit you and is going to bring you the drawing. So, very cool. Now, what I can do, I've got in this here, I've got ultramarine blue, and I mixed a little black in it. That was for their pants, and the pants that are the ultramarine blue color with the black in it, when I have a shadow of shading of black on one side and a highlight, I'm going to use a little bit of that highlight color, which actually is just white added to that dark blue there, and see if this will work in his, oops, wrong side. That was good. I just forgot which side the light was coming from. Yeah. So anyway, blend this out a little bit here. So you want to give their eyeballs a little bit of shading too, and you do that with a light blue. And paint over the blue on the other side. So when that dries in a minute, I will fix that. How are we doing on time today? Oh, I don't know. Let's see, I've been on, 30 minutes, is that all? It seems like 5. Coffee. Pam. Hi, Pam Turlow. So, you remember Pam was on the show, and she has a book that's published by Theme Park Press also. And Pam is going to be back on my show on the 23rd, I believe it is. So just in a few weeks, we'll be talking about Disney World again and Disneyland, because her book actually is about Disneyland. And that'll be a lot of fun. We had a great time last time we did it. Pam, in 20K, did you use a special paint for the coral? We ready for this? All the coral and everything in 20,000 Leagues was painted with exterior house paint. And then it was coated with a clear spray. And because everything was underwater, it was a gloss spray. It didn't matter. It could have a shine to it or not. And we would spray some of the figures we did too that were fiberglass. We'd paint them with that if they were going to be outdoors, and then coat them with that. Off the top of my head, the Indian on Main Street, and the one also that was over by in Frontierland by the shops. I did those a couple of times, and they were painted with house paints, and just like working with this, it dries very quickly, so you had to blend very quickly. And then when it was all dry, we would actually coat it with clear spray, and we did spray it on. And so yeah, we were using. I don't even use airbrush. No, actually, we had cans of it too. But that particular clear coat we put on did not yellow, and we put it on we had a spray can, so we had not a can, we had a container, and we sprayed that on there. But we could add a flattener to it. Actually, it was a semi-thick grayish material that we could mix into the clear coat liquid, and when we sprayed it on or even brushed it on, it would go flat. So if you wanted something to have a flat and not be shiny, that's how we did it. We also had to we worked in all kinds of materials. We worked in fiberglass a lot. Of course, we sculpted in clay. Worked with wood sometimes because we also took care of props in the shows and redid them sometimes, usually because some workman walked on something or put their foot through something, like the piano in Country Bear Jamboree that I had to redo. So they fixed the bear playing piano and then screwed up the piano. Okay. I have to tell you this. Wait a minute, I got to fix his eye. It's bugging me now. I turn around and look. I got to put some white over here. And Pam, I just saw you say that Blick is awesome. Yes, they are. Blick Art Supplies. There we go. Now, and just so you know, again, when I have major colors, big areas of colors I know I'm going to use, especially if they're background things, I mix them in these cups so that I can come back and paint up around the figure if there's some touch-up to be done. And in a few minutes, I know I've been painting that, but I'm going to switch to the black and show you how we make that ear look a little more three-dimensional. But I wanted to tell you about last week. I sent paintings off, and one some of you saw what I posted because it was a surprise gift, which went over really well. It was based on the two kids in the foreground, the backs, and of course I put the ears on them and put their names on them, and I took the idea from something that had been a print or something that Disney had, but I changed the castle and made it more like the actual castle, etc. Anyway, she posted a picture of it when she got it. I think it was Friday. Christine, hi, long time no see. How have you been? I've been great, actually. And I'm looking at what you're all saying at the same time I'm trying to talk. I can't do both. So now I forgot what I was saying. Oh, yes, the painting. But in the photo she had taken, I could see where the canvas had been depressed, and it kind of sagged in parts, especially around the edge of the painting. So I sent her a note, and also I posted about how to stretch the painting back out. If you receive a painting, or if you have a painting at your home and you look at it one day and it's got something, like say when you move and it gets packed and not too well, and you pull it out and you've got this loose canvas, all you got to do, and only on the back of it, is take wet paper towel, very wet paper towels, turn the canvas around and rub it with the wet paper towels. And you even tilt it and let it run down behind the stretchers on the back side only. And lo and behold, 10, 15 minutes later, that painting is dry, and the back of it's dry, and it's all stretched out just like new. The great thing about acrylic painting is that I have discovered, because I've been painting since 1973 in acrylics. I used to do oils before that, and I still, on occasion, had done them. Well, thank you, Amy. But anyway, acrylics, the paintings, we've got a couple paintings here in the house that I did back then. One I did in 1973. And it still looks like it was just painted. I mean, it looks new. Oil paintings, when you see really, especially the old masters and stuff, and they're all cracked, that's because oil paints don't really dry. They still have that little bit of, I mean, they feel dry, yeah, but they have that little bit of they're not elastic like the acrylics are. So as they get older and stuff, and of course they have to varnish those paintings to keep them looking nice and everything else. And then of course, then later on, after many years, they have to clean it off and varnish it again. And acrylics, you don't have to. And I have a painting, a stretch room painting that went out to LA, and Jameson asked about cleaning the painting if it got dusty. And actually, we've never had to dust these paintings off. It seems like they just don't accumulate dust. But if you have to do that, just use a very soft cloth and just brush it. Don't rub it. For God's sake, don't do that. And don't do anything that's got a nap to it or anything, like a dish towel. That is not good. And it'll catch if there's little pieces of or spots of paint where it's raised up just a little bit, it'll catch on it and stuff. So you want to be careful doing that. You really shouldn't have to clean the front of the painting at all. Well, again, the one we've had in 1973, it still looks like it was just painted. Acrylics are great. And of course, you get people, say, "Well, I want an oil painting." Well, it's the mastery of the painting. It doesn't have to be in oils, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And talking about that painting that went to Jameson works for Amtrak, and which is really cool because then I guess every once a week or so or something like that, he actually comes from on the train from LA to Chicago, stays overnight, they turn around and go back, and it's a 2 day trip. I think it's like two nights. He says he doesn't get a lot of sleep. He actually works in the dining car, serving as a waiter, and he loves it. He said he used to work in restaurants like P.F. Chang and stuff, and in management. He says this is just he's been doing this for 10 years. I thought that was pretty cool, and in fact, I think it's very cool. And he, because he was coming to Chicago, we decided, well, it'd be silly to ship the painting out there when he can actually take the painting back with him on the Amtrak train. So I went to UPS, the good people that I work with at UPS, and package all my stuff, and they packaged it up. And the young lady who packaged it, I didn't realize these stretch paintings are 16 inches by 54 inches, and she did a great job packing because, as it turned out, it got there with no damage. The canvas was in great shape, everything. And they always make it 1 or 2 inches more on each edge. So it was by 20 inches by 60 inches high. And I thought it was only going to be about maybe 6 inches thick. And she came out with the box, and it was a foot thick. I think it might have been more than that. And it took a while for them to pack it. I wasn't going to make them repack it, but then I'm looking out at the front of the store, UPS store, at our classic 2000 Mustang. I'm going, how am I going to get that in my car? And I started thinking, I can't get it in the trunk, but I'm going to have to fit it in the trunk through the back seat somehow. So I got out to the car, and I know they probably, when I go back in to see them again, they're going to be laughing about watching me do this. I rolled down the driver's side window, moved the seat all the way up as far as it would go, and then I put the painting through I had the door open too, but I had to have that window down, and I pushed it in at an angle, got it in, and I thought, well, here's the tricky part, and I had to kind of get it into that, and then I was able to push it because I had put the seats down on the back into the trunk, and then I had to shove it over. It barely went in, and get it behind the other passenger seat because it was behind the driver's seat. I wouldn't have been able to drive. And when Suzanne came, she was here at the house, and I came back, and she walked out to the car, and she goes, I don't even want to know. I says, well, you see me take it out. And we drove down. We were thinking we were going to take it on the Metro train here, and we're never going to get it on the train and carry it. So we drove down, and were able to get into a parking garage right next to the hotel, thank God. And then I did this routine of taking it back out. Susie had to open the trunk and get in, and not get in, but reach way in and shove the box as I was pulling it out. And then we walked into the lobby, and Jameson was there. And he went, oh boy, that's big. I went, yeah. Fortunately, he did get it in the spot on the train. Of course, he works for him. And into his car, because he wasn't sure if he was going to get it in his car back in LA, and painting made it safely. Yay! I got to make sure they're not thick like that anymore. Oh, God, I always have so many funny things happening. Was checking your notes here to see if I missed anything. Oh, Tina, I can't believe guests nick pieces of the brides and attack costume actors and dancers. Yeah, that's in the book, yes, because Suzanne was in characters, and we found out the sad truth. And of course, that's why characters over time stopped walking around the parks, because the management wasn't protecting them enough. I guess the management just felt rather than take the time to protect the characters from the guests, that they would do the places where they have photo ops. And now You have to stand in a long line. It was so much more fun, and also for the characters, it was fun to walk around the park. So when Susie was in the Seven Dwarf unit, the Seven Dwarfs all went out together with Snow White and walked in whatever area of the park they were in for that day, whether it was Main Street or Fantasyland, usually. And of course, they also were in the parades. They did shows. They had to all be dancers back then, and she loved it. But unfortunately, she got injured a number of times, and it was, by guess, sad. That's life, huh? Slurp. And now, let me, 44 minutes. I'm doing good here. I wanted, so that was it. And I did want to tell you, I watched Les Mis this week, which with all the things going on in the country and in the world, I went, oh, that kind of fits. So Susie came down from upstairs from her studio, and I'm singing away and stuff. So, all right, that's that. Now, I'm going to paint on Mickey's ears here, and I'm going to be using the black, and straight out of the tube, and I'm going to put a little bit of a highlight on that side. Not much, but I'm going to use this light blue and just give a hint of that there. And yes, we did hide Mickey's in 20K. 20K is no longer there, so you can't try to find them. When our daughter was, I think, 15 or 16, and of course her brother was, at that time would have been about 13, I think. Anyway, we were on one of the many times we were in the park because we got in for free because of our management status, and it was just starting to get dark, early evening, and we were walking from the Fantasyland and toward 20,000 Leagues, and had just gone past Snow White's Adventure, and our daughter had on flip flops, I think, or something like that. She had on slippers. That's what it was. Soft shoes. Anyway, she had taken dance. My wife was a dancer too, and Dawn had been in dance, and she kicked one of her feet up high in the air. She was just having fun, and her shoe came flying off right over the fence and right into 20K. She couldn't stop laughing. We ran over and we looked down, and it was just before where they were loading and unloading the guests. So we're looking down, and there's this slip of her shoe floating in the water. She said, I need my shoe. So we went and got one of the employees who got a nabby grabber to on a long pole, and he had a little clip, hook thing, not a hook, but a clip on it, and he grabbed it and pulled it out for her. And our daughter was loving it because the guy was very good looking. She was like, she didn't know what to say. It was funny. And it might have been a hook, I don't remember, but it was, I'll have to ask Susie. And I said nabby grabbers. Nabby grabbers were invented by Disney World by Tom Nabby, who played Tom Sawyer. He was the original Tom Sawyer at Disneyland, and went on to go into management and everything. But on monorails, if you drop something down beside the monorail beam, you didn't dare go down there because you could get electrocuted. And so he came up with this thing that you could reach down and it would grab whatever you were trying to get. They were called nabby grabbers. There's a bit of trivia for you. And let me see if I missed anything. Where do you shop here? Okay. think I've got most of your things you've asked. I apologize if I go back after I do the broadcast and go through and hit likes on everything if I like. Unless you said something nasty, don't do that. I have a very thin skin. No, I'm kidding. Larry, hey, how you doing? Haunted Mansion, soon, very soon. We were just talking about that actually. Uh, okay, so you saw what I did with that side of his ear, but on this side of his ear, I'm going to paint here, and rather than, I'm going to put a little bit of a highlight, but it's going to be inside the ear a little bit. And this is to give it that concave look to the ear. Aren't you impressed that I said it right? I didn't say convex, concave. Oh, getting a reflection on the light there. There we go. And that works out very nicely. And I'm trying to think if I remembered everything. I don't know if I think I told you one time, you maybe don't remember, but I can paint with both hands. And some years back, well, 2000, end of 2008, when everything went into the dumps with the economy and everything, the first thing to go when you have a recession that bad is people stop buying art and stop going out for entertainment and everything. And so my paintings dropped way off, way off. And I realized I needed to do something. Now, I do have a degree in teaching, but I only taught for a year in Florida. And then I taught for another year at Elmhurst College as an adjunct professor in the theater department. So I wasn't even teaching art. But anyway, I decided I needed to go and substitute teach, which was an easy way to make money. And I had a lot of fun with the kids. I found I'd rather do it with the high school students. I love high school students. They're just so much fun. And I'd go into a classroom and I would draw Mickey Mouse right away on the board, on the dry erase board usually. And if the kids had never had me before, that just stopped them in their tracks because I drew it so fast. Can you draw other characters? And of course, I had to then tell them what I did at Disney and everything. And I said, yeah, I can draw them all. And they'd say, well, I draw one more. And they said, draw some more. I went, when you get your work done, you have to do. The teacher said you had to have done. And if there's time, then I will draw again at the end of the class and maybe tell you a story or two. And that's how it went. And I got to be known in the high schools around here as the Disney guy. It's the Disney guy. Couldn't remember my name. No, they knew. But it was a great tool to be able to do it that way, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. But 4 years ago, 5 years ago, my painting started picking up again, and then actually 3 years ago, I stopped subbing because I was so busy painting again. Hopefully, I won't have to go back to that. And actually, I think the kids would wear me out now. So fun times. And where are we? Oh, 53 minutes. Okay, that's pretty darn good. Um, oh, hello, world. You can actually see my eyes. It's such a shock. And if you have just joined me, I'm going to swing across here so you can see that side again of the painting. Stitch is done. And each of these characters represents the different jobs that this retired police chief had as he worked his way up in the department. But outside we have 3 police cars, and it's actually Herbie, the sheriff's car, and McQueen. All have the red bubble on the top of the cars, and the castle is in the distance. I haven't painted that yet. After I paint the castle and these cars in, and I'll put a little bit of a wash to get some streaks in the window so it looks like glass. And so I have trash falling out of the trash things. There'll be posters back here on the wall. There'll be wanted posters, and I'll have like Pistol Pete will be in one of them. And I haven't decided what other characters yet. And there will be some hidden Mickeys in here. And so this is a fun painting. Okay. Now, I'm going to do one last thing. I know it's not total 60 minutes, but hey, I'm on my own time. And you see something cool? Our son made this, and he actually teaches in high school, and he was with the woodshop teacher helping with the kids one time. He doesn't teach shop. He works with special needs kids, which is really cool. But anyway, made this thing on a very thin piece of wood. I like that. And it's all our dreams can come true if we have the courage to pursue them. Who said that? I don't know. That's pretty cool. Anyway, I said we were going to have a guest, and this came from something that just happened a couple days ago. So I got to tell you, it's a funny story. Some of you, well, a lot of you, you know James Best, but you're going like, who's James Best? The actor James Best made movies. His first movie was Left-Handed Gun with Paul Newman. He starred opposite Paul Newman in '54, I think it was. And anyway, he went on to do a lot of movies. He was in Shenandoah. He was in all kinds of Jimmy Stewart movies, and just a bunch of movies. Jerry Lewis, he was in a movie with him. But you all know him, and he said, unfortunately, everybody remembers me. He just passed away last year, 2 years ago, last year. But anyway, he is known as the policeman on Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah. But anyway, he and his wife had come to Orlando in the mid-'80s, and we were just closing down our theater that we owned. And Jimmy and his wife had come to see our show of The Fantastics that I was in, playing one of the fathers. And our daughter was actually playing my daughter. And Jimmy just thought that was the greatest thing. And one thing led to another, and he was opening up a theater and film and stage acting school, film technique. And so we became part of that. Suzanne and I helped him with that. We had a blast, but we were also going to have shows on the weekend that were going to be a comedy Olympics. And so we put together 2 teams that would compete and everything. It was fun. We had boo bricks, which were foam cut at the size of bricks. They were blue foam, and we put boo on them. And if the audience didn't like what was going on, they'd throw boo bricks at the actors. Sometimes you get in boo brick fights. And but I emceed the show. And I was in a few skits, but mostly I emceed. So to start the show, I would come out for a few minutes and do a couple of crazy things, and I would do impressions. Actually, I can do Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck and Goofy. Now you're going to be asking me to do it. But I did this famous actor, and I'm going to turn around for a minute. I don't have the right shirt, which I'll tell you. I should be putting on a Hawaiian shirt. And ready for this? All right. Make your guess. He's still got a big show on TV, and would like to meet him someday. Anybody want to venture a guess? Wait a minute. Oh, Nabby was just on the WW radio show. Tom Nabby, yes, we knew Tom Nabby. Um, do you do any? It's a small world paintings. I haven't yet. I would love to do small world paintings. So uh, if you're interested, message me. Tom Selleck, yes, of course, Magnum PI. Now the funny thing was, I had my back to the audience. I put on a Hawaiian shirt and I put on a cap, not my University of Miami alumni hat, but I had a hat like his. And I turned around at the audience and a few times we'd be out somewhere, shopping or whatever, and run into people. And I saw the show. You did the greatest Tom Selleck impression I've ever seen. You sounded just like him. I never said a word. I didn't try to talk like him. I just sat there and grinned. I don't have his money though. The interesting thing though is that our daughter-in-law Sandy is a horseback rider, and she used to teach horseback riding when uh, they lived in LA. Our, and Sean, our son, loved to go out there when she was teaching Tom Selleck's kid to ride. So, because he would sit there or stand by the railing with Tom Selleck and get to talk with him while Sandy was out teaching his kid. I look like Tom, except I think I'm about 3 or 4 inches too short, and I'm not rich. On that note, see, I told you we'd have a guest. Next week I'll do my Mickey Mouse, Goofy, and Donald Duck impressions. So, everybody, have a great week. If you're going to Disney, have a great time. If you're just coming back, I hope you had a great time. And yes, we still like going to Disney World. We were just down there in December again. So I'm going to say goodbye at this time. And actually, next week, I will be working. This will be done. You'll see the picture of this. But I will be working on the stretch painting that is the crazy fun thing I'm doing with that. I showed it earlier in this episode. So if you didn't see it, go back and look. And it will be in regular paint, in lighting, and also in black light. So I'll have the black light on and forth with the lights, and it should be a lot of fun. And I'll try not to hurt myself. So Tom and I say goodbye.